We should be live now. It should be working. Hello, everybody. Hello, guys. What have you been up to? I haven't seen you guys in ages. It feels like forever since I last saw you guys. Like nothing like less than 24 hours since I last saw you, or nothing like that. It feels just like, ages ago. Not really. Not really. Anyway, Grey Maniacs gather. Yay! It's time for another Geeky Weekly. Grey Maniacs and Kyle-Aholics and Mark Edix. I don't know. Mark Edix? Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't sound right, does it? Oldroydians. Oldroydians. It sounds like an exclusive finishing school, doesn't it? Oldroydians.
You got Mark Sponge. It should say Sponge Mark.
Sponge Mark. Mark Sponge.
Oh, yeah, it should. Yes, you're right.
Sponge Mark. Should be Sponge Mark. Mark Sponge. Fair enough. It should be Mark Sponge Oldroyd pants.
Sponge Night, Kyle.
Yeah. The Sponge Man.
I don't know. I'll leave all the SpongeBob questions to Mark. Like I said, I'll
go. I answered all my SpongeBob. I'm just going to be geeky and show him the issues he did.
Yeah.
God Howard has arrived. I hope you've made another Fallout 5 game by now, God Howard. Hey, Sleepy Reader, how you going, mate? You got to come on here one time to talk nonsense with us, show some stuff. You've got any stuff that's not in a warehouse.
But after the first of the year, I'll try and get a hold of Tom Kenny, and we'll get SpongeBob's voice on here. So,
all right. I'm sure Mark does a good impersonation. I'm sure.
I'm afraid I'm suffering today. I've got a cold. So.
Oh, you got a cold as well? Yeah. Carl's got a cold. My housemate's just telling me he's got a cold. I don't get another bloody cold. Just finished off.
We're getting around to something. Hey, I'll tell you what, though, Mark. When you tell him your daughter's got you into the books and things like that, remind him that you're not talking about like tween-age daughters. That you're talking about doctors.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're PhD.
Well, there he is.
Hello.
Speak of the devil, and he doth appear. Look at you, you handsome old sod.
Well, I got the old part all right.
Hey, you're not too well.
Yeah, handsome old curmudgeon. Yeah, we're all kind of fighting a little bit of ick. So,
how's everybody doing?
Not too bad. I'm the least ill one here, I think. By the sounds of it.
Stay out of hospital. So probably gonna go tomorrow with the missus. Her voice is almost gone. She's just exhausted, and she keeps pushing on.
And you said that's COVID or complications from same?
It might be.
Oh,
that's the scary part. Is it might be. The at-home tests say no, but the bodies are starting to say yes. The bodies and the indicators are starting to say yes.
Okay. Yeah.
But on a lighter note, now that this audience has four handsome chaps like this all gathered together.
Yeah. Absolutely. But they can't resist. They'll all be coming in droves to watch this channel now. Have you got your full run of SpongeBob now, Mark?
Right. So we had a slight accident.
Oh.
So I went out and ordered the remaining, I think it was about 8 or 9 I hadn't got. And I decided to have a splurge and just get them. And when they all arrived, I discovered that I'd ordered, the one that I was missing was number 84. And instead I ordered 85. So I now have 2 copies of the last issue.
Oh.
I'm missing 84. So that's the only one I'm missing.
What a failure.
So my daughter, I told my daughters and I said, not saying what I want for Christmas, but if you have to find a SpongeBob 84.
Oh no!
Yeah,
you got to be the only person in the whole of the UK with a full run of SpongeBob in you.
I think I may well be. Yeah, I may well be. It's not that easy to get.
No.
It still cracks me up though when you talk about your daughters and SpongeBob that you sit and think, oh yeah, like teenagers or young kids. No, his daughters are doctors. His daughters are accomplished doctors. They're grown women, accomplished doctors, or working on their doctorates. And they got him hooked into SpongeBob.
Buying their big kid of a dad SpongeBob SquarePants comics.
Yeah, they have tried to do the same thing with My Little Pony, but it's not working.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good thing they didn't get their hooks into me. I'd be all about My Little Ponies. I'm a brownie all day long.
I bet. Powerpuff Girls for me, but I've only got like 2 comics.
What about you, Hill?
I'm sorry. I gotta apologize, guys. I don't know if it's my hearing or my computer, but the sound, it's a little difficult to hear everything, so you'll have to bear with me.
Okay.
So I'm having a little tough time.
We're just talking about you. You have to be the one who loves the Care Bears of Rainbow Bright because we love all these other silly books and silly cartoons.
Well, SpongeBob is funny because I never saw the show. When I got an email or a call from Chris Duffy, who was the editor, and I knew Chris from Nickelodeon magazine. He'd given me some work there. He's a great guy, but he said, "Are you familiar with SpongeBob?" I said, "No." So he sent me a DVD or whatever it was of the show, and it was one of the loudest things I'd ever heard. I mean, it just seemed like, it starts with the song, everyone's yelling, screaming.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of like, oh my God, I went up and turned the volume down on the TV. But I grew to appreciate it pretty quickly. Obviously it's a kid's show, but like a lot of things that were written for kids, but done by people that were clever and or interesting, it's got a layer of humor that kids might not get. That's more for the adults or the parents, and surrealism and that kind of stuff. That's maybe those kids that enjoyed it when they were young will go back and enjoy it as adults for different reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of nostalgia, isn't there? Like that sells comic books in the future, doesn't it? People who get to a certain age, remember stuff from their youth, and they start going out and buying it, don't they?
Well, the thing is, I grew up with, cartoons on TV here, and, here, meaning, when I was young in the States, 1960s, 70s, and, that would be things written for the TV that had a similar kind of edge. I mean, Rocky and Bullwinkle had stuff in there that no kid would understand. And whether they were reference to old movie characters or political asides, but I was still interested in it as a young kid, and then you'd go back and see it, and it was really amusing on a different level. But with the SpongeBob, I just that was my first exposure to the character, other than seeing him in perhaps in Nickelodeon. I'm not sure if I saw him in there or not, but I saw a lot of cartoons because I never had what used to be called cable. I don't know what you call it now, but I didn't get a lot of the TV cartoons that weren't on broadcast networks. So, but I caught up with some of them and drew some of them. I drew Jimmy Neutron, and I did a couple Jimmy Neutrons for Nickelodeon magazine, and I worked on a couple other characters, but I'd never even seen the cartoons. So, yeah. Anywho, but your daughters and you were SpongeBob fans, and now you have everything but one issue, you're saying.
Right, okay, so there's a challenge for you here, Hillary. So do you know how many SpongeBob there are 85 issues of SpongeBob. Do you know how many you are credited in?
I have absolutely no idea. I'm sure it's just it's a small percentage.
No, it's 10. It's 10. It's quite a reasonable number. Yeah. Can you name the issues?
Well, the only one I'm going to be able to name is, I was in the first issue.
Yeah.
For some reason, I got in on the ground floor. Though I'll have to tell you the story. I almost never worked on SpongeBob, and I'll tell you that story. And the only one I'm going to remember, and I don't remember, I'll know the number, but they did a science fiction issue, and that was a big deal. Yeah. So I remember that one. But otherwise, I'm just in whatever issues I'm in. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Let me put you on the big screen for a second. No, I can't remember how to do it. Oh yeah, try it again.
Great.
There you go. That was like old EC as well, didn't it? The layout as well. The logo is done in the old style, isn't it?
Yeah.
A pre-code looking trade dress.
So the squirrel here is shrinking SpongeBob and Patrick down to subatomic molecules. So he says, you'll reach subatomic size. Will you discover answers to the universe's biggest mysteries? And SpongeBob goes, greatest mysteries? We're going to find out why fish have lips.
Okay.
And Patrick goes, duh, how else could you kiss them?
Fine. How did the squirrel get in the sea, or did they squirrel catch them and take them out of the sea?
No, squirrels wears a helmet.
Diving helmet, of course.
No, there. When I was watching the DVD, one episode that got me was SpongeBob runs away from home, and I guess Patrick goes with him, and they do it like he's got the old Bindle stiff, from the Depression era, and they're walking across, the ocean floor, and night comes, so they decide to build a fire, and they're sitting by the fire talking, and so one of them says to the other, wait, how could we build a fire? And they look at each other, and then the fire disappears, and they continue as if it was never there. And that's the kind of thing that's just, to me, that's that level of surrealism that they just add there.
I was a big fan of Monty Python, and I just like silliness.
Yeah.
And what you get in SpongeBob is just silliness. So this was the last issue that you contributed to, but it was actually quite a big contribution because it's about half the comic. But just on the back page, it's just this sort of silliness that I like. Help! I can't find my sunglasses. They're on the top of your head. Okay, silly me. And then the next one. Help! I can't find Gary.
Gary's the snail, is it?
Yeah.
Gary's on top of his head as well. Okie dokie.
Well, one of the things that I think is special about the comic book of SpongeBob, and that this doesn't really hold the same for the show, because the show is, it's animated. There's a team of people that work, and they have model sheets and all that. And with the comic book, they had, Chris Duffy was in on this from the beginning, and this is, I'm sure, something he discussed with, Chris. I'm sorry, with what's her name, Hillebrand.
Yeah.
But they decided they're going to have a few people that work on stories that are done on model, or at least from people that worked on the show and know what the look is of the show. Hello, New Mexico.
Hey, James, how are you?
But
whole state watching us.
The balance of the book would be drawn by cartoonists in their own style.
Yeah.
And all over the spectrum of cartoon styles. And one of the issues I had is my style was, I've never really had my own style in terms of cartooning. I'm not a Matt Groening or one of these guys, but you pick any of these guys in SpongeBob, they drew SpongeBob their way. And that was totally cool with the creator. It was totally cool with the editor. That's what they wanted. And in the very first issue, that first story I did, I got the gig with Chris. He said, will you draw these characters? Show me what you draw them like. So I drew them in pencil on a sketchbook, showed them to Chris, and they were way off model, but not way enough off model. But apparently they were good enough for Chris. So then I drew the story exactly like I did my roughs. My trial roughs, and when Chris got feedback, they said no, this isn't good enough. It's off, and I had to redraw the eyes on SpongeBob. It came down to the way I was doing the eyes. I would turn SpongeBob to the side, and I'd make one eye smaller than the other. It's not important what I was doing, but whatever I was doing was driving them crazy. I did it like 5 times, and the original artwork, I could no longer fix the art, so I had to have a friend come in, and we were digitally changing the eyes finally.
Oh, okay.
And on the very last attempt that I submitted, we copied the eyes and just duplicated them. So they were exactly the same eye. Scanned them, copied them, pasted them in one next to the other, so nobody could say they weren't the same size. I send it into Chris, and he said, sorry, the feedback was, once again, the eyes aren't right. The eyes have to be the same size. So I wrote back to Chris. I said, hello.
Hey,
anyway, I just said, I'm really sorry, but I guess I'm not doing the story because I'm not. These literally are the same size. They're the same eyes. And so then I get my next email from Chris was, congratulations, your story's been accepted. But it was that close to, somehow I was close, but I wasn't on the money. So if I had drawn him completely differently in some other style that I don't possess, I think that would have been acceptable.
Yeah, but because you're quite close.
I was close, but no cigar kind of thing,
Yeah, it's interesting you say you don't have a style, because having looked a bit of your work now and looked at some of the stuff on your, I think you do have a bit of style. And this is the last story you did in SpongeBob 80 with King Neptune there, and you have a very sort of rounded style. I think that, I think that is quite Hilary Barter style, that King Neptune there. Maybe not SpongeBob, but King Neptune definitely.
Well, I have style in my work, and there's certainly when it comes to me inking. But if I had to draw like The Simpsons and wasn't able to put my lighting in there, feathering, that kind of thing, if I had to draw it in that open line of The Simpsons, I would have difficulty making it look like anything that was interesting to me.
Yeah.
Because the design of the characters we're talking about, the proportions, the style, how Matt Groening draws, will always recognize what Matt Groening does. You'll always recognize what certain cartoonists, Sergio Aragonés, you name them, they're going to draw Batman that way. They're never going to alter their style, whereas I will blend in, and I am adaptable, and that chameleon-like, if that's what I am, that quality does not help in this situation. They really need distinctive. So after that first story that's in the first issue, they wouldn't let me draw SpongeBob for a while. It was really Chris, I think, just made the decision. Oh, we're going to give him Mermaid Man, and so that's what I mostly did until they let me in a little bit later into doing the other characters. But I didn't really draw SpongeBob very, very much after that because Chris knew it would be trouble.
Is this Mermaid Man here?
Yeah, that's probably the second story I did for them. Or
he kind of looks like a geriatric Aquaman.
He is.
He's got the same costume almost, hasn't he?
Ernest Borgnine and Tim Conway. Utter genius. Genius.
It's pretty hilarious that they cast them, the two guys from McHale's Navy, in SpongeBob. They had that naval aquatic connection, I guess.
Well, they did the voices. What are you talking about?
They voiced the characters. The interesting thing about working on that comic book is that I was drawing these cartoony versions, and they're pretty wild. They have like little rubber legs, like Olive Oil and Popeye, and then giant beach ball body kind of thing. But the comic, that's the reality. That's the real Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy as they exist in the universe under the sea, at Bikini Bottom with SpongeBob. But the comic book version of them is drawn, quote, realistically like Batman, Superman. So it's just the weirdest thing. I drew a story where SpongeBob brings a comic book to a convention in Bikini Bottom for those guys to sign. So they're drawn like Jack Kirby, or at least my approximation of Jack Kirby on the cover of the little comic book within the comic book. But then the guy sitting behind the table has got pipe cleaner legs. It's a weird kind of reality,
Yeah.
But I think the cool thing about that sort of thing for me, and I'm sorry if I'm going on too much here, but I really love how kids accept that stuff. When you get into the Marvel and DC world, there's so much of this. Oh, is this, what do they call it when it's part of the continuity?
Canon.
Yeah.
What's that? What's the word?
I said canon, part of the canon.
Canon, exactly, right. It's canon, or people will complain if an artist draws differently. You just get this real, anal retentive is not perhaps the most polite way to describe it, but it's like, people get these really fixed ideas and they're rigid in their thinking. But little kids don't give a darn about that stuff. They're like, oh, sure, he looks like a goofball here, but then he's drawn realistically in the comic. That makes perfect sense instead of the other way around.
I mean, we have this sort of stuff on the comic, And as you say, kids will just go, oh, it's SpongeBob drawn differently.
Right. Yeah. They don't go, why isn't he drawn the same way in every story?
More accepting, less critical. You get a lot more critical than comic book readers.
Yeah, I'm not sure what sets in, but it's early OCD or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I don't know which one's 85, but I doubt, unless I'm in it, I wouldn't have it. So
no, you're not in it. The last issue you were in was 80.
Okay.
2018. Yeah.
So look, some more art we've got here. One Night in the Chumbuck. Is that the name of the pub or something? Or is that the restaurant or something in Bikini Bottom?
The Chum Bucket is one of two restaurants. They're sort of battling restaurants in the cartoon. And this is the one run by SpongeBob's enemy. And though I don't even know if SpongeBob thinks of him as an enemy.
I don't think SpongeBob thinks he's his enemy. That's part of the joke.
SpongeBob is oblivious to evil all around him and everything else. He's just kind of living in happy land.
Yeah. Well, he is a sponge. I mean, they're not known for their critical thinking.
And that drives. What's the guy's name? The Plankton. It drives that villain Plankton mad.
It drives him even more mad. Yeah. Exactly.
It's like, imagine if you were the Joker and Batman wouldn't acknowledge you existed as a bad guy.
It's a little bit like Homer Simpson and is it Mr. Grimes or something Grimes? Like he ends up hating Homer in the Simpsons. Ends up
Homer's boss.
No, there was a one-off character who came on and he saw Homer for the incompetent, bumbling fool that he was. That everyone just sort of lets him get on with it, and he just like loses his temper and ends up like aping Homer's behaviour. Ends up electrocuting himself by grabbing hold of something like that. His name's Grimes. I think it was Grimes. It was quite a well episode. It reminds me of that though.
Yeah, I might have missed that one, but I forgot that character. So yeah. But I get the joke. Yeah.
He hates him, but he doesn't realize he's too dumb to realize that he's hated.
Two of my favorite pieces of ephemera here on my old business cards. That would be the autographs of Harvey Korman and Tim Conway.
Yes.
I have a fun little story about that, about hanging out with them instead of the Eagles when the Eagles reunited, and the only one that found it funny was Joe Walsh. So, but me and my buddy, who were in our 20s, early 30s, and we'd rather hang out with those two old farts than the reunited Eagles. And Henley and Fry were insulted, but man, Joe Walsh was tickled by it. They're like, you can hang out with us and you'd rather hang out with them. Yep, all day long.
I was recently talking to my friend Doug Rice. We've done a lot of projects together. And he's working on an animated film that a guy is producing up in Wisconsin with his own money. He brings people up there to work on it. He's been working on it for years. But because time has passed, while they've been working on it, they've had to... It was started out as 2D, and now they're working on it as a 3D project. But this guy just has got a lot of interest in it in Hollywood. But he actually had one of the original voices on the show was Ernest Borgnine, and it was like one of the last projects he worked on before he passed. And unfortunately, with the transition from 2D to 3D, they're going to have to rescore it and re-record the dialogue. And Borgnine's no longer with us, so they won't be able to use him. And Doug was saying it's really sad because he did this great recording. He did it, his acting was great. They just no longer can use it. So it'll be a a curiosity item somewhere, perhaps. Maybe they'll put it on the DVD if this film is ever released. You know, the last recorded performance from Borgnine.
Awesome.
I'm sure there's some great voice actors out there who could probably do Borgnine's voice and do a
sure.
close.
But they're just instead they'll probably just start over with a different actor because since he never was the character. And I haven't seen this film or anything, but since it's not like an episodic show that he died while they were halfway through season 2 or something.
Yeah.
So they just went back to the start. Yeah. Anyway, it's an interesting project. I won't go into it because it's something that every time I talk to Doug, I says, I ask him, so what's going on? Well, we're starting it over again. The guy has the money to do it and the time, so he. And I kind of think, do you think this is ever going to happen, or this guy just wants to keep it going in production forever? It's kind of a fun game for him. Like he's, he must
have a lot of money, because I imagine it sounds like a money pit.
Oh, well, no, it's his dream project, and that's my question for Doug. Is do you think he really? He obviously has the money. The question is, does he ever really want to finish the thing? And capable of finishing it. When you're your own producer, there's no one telling you, hey, you got to meet this deadline. So he keeps extending the deadline and he keeps changing the ground rules. And
anyway. It sounds like he's too invested in it that he can't actually put it to bed properly. He's like taking too long over it because he's just like wants it to be too perfect or something.
Yeah, I think it's more like it evolves commercially. Well, anyway, I only know what I know through talking to Doug. One of the changes is that it became a musical. It wasn't a musical. They did an entire storyboarded film and story, and then they decided they have to add music, and so they went back and turned it into a musical. Doug said the music's great though. They hired professionals for that too. Anyway, if and when it ever happens, you'll know about it. But it's pretty crazy. Yeah. It's been going on.
It's an unusual change to make halfway through the film.
It seems like it, right? Like it's a major conceptual thing. It's like instead of Spider-Man being a superhero comic, he's going to be in Riverdale with Archie. It's just
Anyway. Big swerve.
That'd be a fun read. Yeah, after the beginning of the year when things slow down, I'm actually going to try and get in touch with Tom Kenny and get him on here to talk for a little bit and see if he'll SpongeBob voice for a little bit too.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But we know me, I'll talk to anybody. I'll ask anybody anything, so, I don't know.
What have you been working on since last we spoke to you?
What's that?
I was saying, what have you been working on since last we spoke to you?
Oh, I'm pretty much drawn for myself right now. After I finished the Weird Al story, I haven't had any paying gigs from the outside, so I just do my own art, post it online. I've got originals to sell, but I'm not really hustling right now, so I'm just having fun drawing.
I'm trying to schmooze him out of a caricaturization of the three of us together. So
I'm just terrible at characters. By the way, what you just put up on the screen, if you can go back to this one. This was the only story I wrote, and I was working on, and this was for the black and white issue. Well, it's a black, white, and red, yellow issue. But I think it was my idea to do a noir thing, but maybe not. I think I was pitching that to the Simpsons. This was Chris's idea that they were going to do black and white. Yeah, that's a really fun issue. And I was working on a story, a Mermaid Man story that Chuck Dixon wrote. And so, but Chris liked my little one-page gag idea, but I didn't have time to draw it. I did the roughs of it, but then he gave it to someone else to draw because I was working on this Dixon story. And so it's the one story I wrote, I didn't draw it, which is really strange. But yeah, I love that issue, and I love the whole two-tone thing in comics. And this, we did it in the story I did. We did it on the back cover and the front cover. It's black and white and yellow.
This is one of the hardest ones to find. This is one of the last ones I got. Really,
is that right? I wonder why. I wonder why it's so hard to find. Maybe because it's the unique theme.
I think it's because it's a great cover. it's different. And these were low print runs. There were about 6,000 print run, and
now that's a low print run for a cartoon that's international. That's amazing, isn't it?
Amazingly low. And most of these went to kids, so they'd have been destroyed.
Right.
So some of these are really quite difficult to find. The better covers, some of the nicer covers are the ones that are more difficult to find. This was one of the last ones I got. Actually, came in the last lot. Yeah, great.
Well, that was a fun one to do. The story I drew for that was a Batman riff. It was something like Crime Gully. I forget the full title, but you might recall. Anyway, but like Batman had Crime Alley, where this was about the origin of Mermaid Man and how he was humiliated and all this other stuff in Crime Gully.
Oh yeah, there's the back page. That's the one you just showed. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
But it was fun because it just I love the melodramatic acting you can do in a sort of humorous, serious story if you can put those two together. So this is a dramatic story, but it's done so over the top. The characters are crying and they're wringing their hands, and it's great. Yeah.
I actually haven't read this one yet, but I'm just reading through it. The Cabinet of Dr. Calimari.
Yeah, that's the Mark. What's his name? Mark Hempel story. Yeah, I thought that was a great. Yeah, that was a great name. The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari.
I think this is your one, Hillary. Yeah, it is. Where heroes fear to tread, Mermaid Man. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's it.
I think that's the Batman type one you were talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crime Gully. Does he? So obviously it's not the same origin because Batman's origin, his mum's pearl necklace always breaks, doesn't it? I wonder if there was any nod towards that in the story.
What's that?
So it was like a parody on the Batman origin, and in Batman origin, his mum always she has a pearl necklace that breaks and then falls to the ground. I wonder if that was used in there at all.
Well, there is. Okay, I'm having a little trouble hearing you again. I apologize. There's aspects of the origin of Batman in there. Like I don't know which artist drew it, but the pearls come off the mother's neck.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Is that in a Frank Miller one? Somebody drew that. Anyway, they do that basic bit in there. It's in Chuck Dixon's script. But what's great is what Chuck. I think the best gag in there is because this is black and white and yellow. When the critical thing is SpongeBob is afraid, right? He's afraid of something. I won't give away the whole story. So he's walking away in shame, and the crowd is pointing at him, and they're shocked that their hero has turned coward, and he's literally yellow. That's the gag. So, I mean, it's really a great gag for that issue and that story, and it's like very funny, very funny.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
My favorite Hillary Bart art hangs on my wall. So
one of my drooling monsters.
Oh.
Bug-eyed, bucktooth, drooling monster.
What we got last year for Christmas? What just amazingness that just.
Well, that's Kal-El. What was the drawing of?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a portrait of Kal-El.
Yeah.
With a spare tentacle. But yeah, these hang right. I just looked right over at them. I get them. They hang up on my wall immediately, and people walk into my library, and I go, "Look what my friend did. He's so awesome."
Have you got any of your own art on your
internet
wall?
So, yeah, it's pretty damn awesome. Pretty awesome to have the original art. Pretty awesome to talk to the guy because he's so damn cool, and he hates to hear how cool he is, but he's curmudgeonly cool.
I'm not cool. I wear glasses, see?
As he says to the guy wearing glasses. Yeah.
Right. Now then.
I didn't mean it. No, that wasn't a personal aside. I'm sorry. That wasn't.
Right.
Anyway, is there anything else about SpongeBob you guys were interested in, or?
I'm absolutely right. So the thing I want to ask about, because I went onto your website, which I hadn't done before, and I found the link to limericks.
Oh yes,
which is brilliant. So I think all of us, all three of us, for next week need to do a limerick.
Limerick.
you should.
Yeah,
So you can't do limericks.
it's a limerick about an old horror film.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean,
So
just they don't have to be about horror films. I've done them about. We did like we went through the entire filmography of Vincent Price, for instance. This is a friend of mine who lives in Scotland, David Cairns, who's a writer and filmmaker. The two of us are the main writers, but we just write in limerick form about whatever subject's interested, and mostly that's comics and movies, but mostly movies, as you said.
Yeah.
And a lot about old horror movies and stuff. Yeah, they're more fun to write. The more gory and crazy the story, the more interest there is.
Yeah.
Potential interesting subject matter. Yeah.
Because
anyway, take a look at limericks. Plug limericks. I mean, I don't really do it very much, but I used to do one every day, and they're just short form poetry. But yeah, and they're not the adult limerick. Just let's get that out of the way. They're PG.
From Nantucket.
Yeah. Nobody goes to Nantucket. No.
No. There's no young Indian brave who found a pro in his cave. None of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There was a young man from Venus. No, we don't do that.
Yeah.
Considering how well known of a poet I am, I should be able to just whip those right out. I could probably do that sitting right here.
Yeah.
Well,
I've got about 4 lines of the Mask of the Red Death, but I've got it already now. It's that was a Vincent Price, wasn't it?
I just recently somebody showed a I don't know if it was 70 millimeter or 35, but a beautifully restored print of the Mask of the Red Death. And I saw it in the movie theater, and it was just that movie, the color. It was one of the early films shot by Nicholas Rogue.
Yeah.
And it was just really just the color is like eye searing, There's all the rooms with the different colors, and it was quite something to see.
All right. Let's put my writing to the test. I just did this off the top of my head. I didn't write anything down. Let's see if I can pull off a limerick here. There were these 4 old sods in a stream, ranting about endless things that'll make you scream. Then one finally said, "I've been done in the head," and he awoke from that horrid dream.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, you got to work on your meter, but otherwise you got the writing.
Again, I'm just spewing that off the top of my head. If I was writing that out, I'd actually space it and do all that. He awoke.
At one point we were writing this, so you remember I was writing one a day for years. I got so crazy because it was all about I like having a form. It's sort of like having 6 panels on a page or 9 panels on a page in a comic. I like having a structure within to work, or work against. Yeah. And so the limerick is very much like that. It's like you have to have it. The beats have to be where they have to be. But I got to the point where we were trying to do the internal rhymes. There once was a man from Nantucket. So the once and the man. And I'm telling you, trying to do 3 rhymes in each line, it almost killed me. But you're often trying to sort of bang these things into shape when really one rhyme is enough. One rhyme's plenty. And anyway, it was fun while it lasted.
I come up with that walking down the steps, and the hardest part for me with that wasn't coming up with the words; it was keeping it PG-13.
Yeah.
That's absolutely the hardest part. I kept wanting to dive off the edge, and I'm like, nope, reel it back in. Nope, reel it back in.
Well, if you dealt with the hardest part, then it wouldn't be PG-13.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
All right. There was a man named Kal-El who gave us a poem with a smile. The meter was wrong, but the rhyming was strong, and we gave him 2 out of 10 for style.
Oh.
To that I haiku. Eat my shorts, you sod.
Fine.
There once was an artist named Barda who didn't come from Sparta. His lines were fluid. He drew like a druid. He wishes he were a little bit smarter.
Oh,
That's off the cuff. Sorry, that's off the cuff. And I think I should end there because we couldn't get any worse than that. So I'll ring off and say,
it took me a bad day to do one, so I'm not in the same league as you three.
No. Anybody could do better than what I just did. I was trying to make everyone else look good. Okay, guys, take care. Good to see you.
Thanks, Hillary.
Happy Christmas.
Merry Christmas, buddy. Anytime you want to come on, hang out, sell anything, shill anything, just shoot the shit about old movies and Scrabble. That's what I want to talk to you about. I want to play at Scrabble.
Okay.
And I want to drink and draw. Yeah, I want to talk about movies and drink and draw on napkins, and I want to whoop your hiney at Scrabble. That is a must in my life. I got to at least whoop you once at Scrabble.
Okay, and Mark, good luck. Good luck finding your last issue of SpongeBob.
I know. Well, hopefully my daughters will find it. If they don't, I'll have to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys. All right.
See you later.
Thanks.
Signing off.
Bye.
Get later.
Bye.
Love
new site with hot girls, everybody.
Love that guy.
Right.
Love that guy.
I'm going to get myself a beer because you said we were going to drink beer tonight, and I put myself up a beer. But so I'm going to go and get that beer while you guys decide what you want to talk about.
Oh, I'm going to actually go grab something to drink and have a drink with you guys.
All right, well, I'll leave Mark to entertain you.
Hi, everybody.
You can dance, have a little poem ready for us when we get back.
My drink's right next to me in this fridge.
All right, you ain't gonna go far.
If there's anybody out there, because in the same box as I've got all my SpongeBob's, I've also got my Simpsons comics. So my Simpsons comics.
Yeah, he's in quite a few of those too.
Yeah, he is in a few of them. So we got Simpsons comics #1. Which is obviously a Fantastic Four spoof.
Yeah.
With Homer as Mole Man.
Let's put you on the big screen. Yeah, I'm glad Helio did a poem about himself, because if I'd done it, I would put Farter as the rhyming at the end, probably. Farter, yeah. Simpsons. Is that Helio's as well?
Grainig did all the covers. Hillary did interiors on things.
Yeah.
Grainig always did the covers.
Bishop's finger, in case anyone's wondering what I'm drinking.
You've got to be careful where bishops put their finger, though.
I'm drinking peach mango hard cider.
Tastes like surprise choir boy.
This ain't a spinoff; it's a pop cap. So I need to go get a bottle opener.
My Radioactive Man #1, and it's cool. Glow in the dark.
Are they any good, them Radioactive Man stories? Are they fun?
Yeah, they're really good.
They really hit all the kind of like comic book tropes, like.
So this is issue 1, and it actually says on it issue 1, right? The next issue is Radioactive Man, Magmo, the Lava Man, and it's issue 88.
Okay,
but that's actually issue 2, and then it goes then it's highly confusing, and then the next issue is 1000.
Oh gosh.
So it goes issue 1, issue 88, and issue 1000.
Oh my god, how many are there in the Radioactive Man?
It was one of the longest running ones. They must have sorted the numbering out at some stage, but
yeah.
Most of these I got when they first came out because it was while I was collecting. So, this is the first Simpsons comic. Simpsons Comics and Stories #1.
Did they do like a Treehouse of Horror kind of like run as well?
They did, but that wasn't early on, so that came a bit later. These ones were first. I actually have a pretty rare one of that one. So that's the first Simpsons comics, and that's a newsstand, which is pretty rare.
Yeah, how long? 30 years has it been going for now? Longer?
Oh, it's finished.
What, Simpsons?
Well, the comic's finished.
Oh, your comics, yeah. But it's
Bongo Comics folded up shop.
Yeah.
COVID took Bongo up. COVID.
Oh, okay, the whole company went down, did it?
Yeah. COVID basically took down Bongo Comics. They had a small print run. They weren't really making a bunch of money, and then COVID hit and kind of folded up shop.
Who did these SpongeBob ones?
It was distributed by Bongo.
Oh, they did SpongeBob as well as.
Yeah.
Well, they distributed it. I don't know what the relationship was with the.
I mean, Nickelodeon and Fox and all them had parts of it, but the comic company that handled everything was Bongo.
Yeah.
And Bongo folded up shop.
Right. Did they do anything before they was doing those cartoon ones?
No, that's what Bongo was.
They kind of created just for those.
I don't know 100% for sure, but I'm pretty sure that was a Matt Groening side project.
Right.
Yeah, I think you're right. You're right, Kyle. It was.
So I think he was the big money behind that. But I mean, that guy, he made an agreement like when he first started getting money that his pull list at his LCS was every independent comic that came through there. He wanted on his pull list, and it got to be 6,000 a month, so he had to stop doing that. But he was buying every independent comic that came through. So he said, well, yeah, 6,000.
That'd be expensive, didn't it?
He didn't care about the money. He wanted to support the field, but what are you
going to do? Stopped well before COVID, Kyle.
Oh.
They stopped in 2018.
18 they folded? I thought it was COVID that folded Bongo. COVID folded somebody. If they folded in 18, if they folded. 1 month they had books, the next month they had nothing.
That's right. Yeah, they did. It was quite sudden. So that and SpongeBob went at the same time because they were distributed by Bongo. That's how I know. So, issue 85, there was no indication that was going to be the launch of SpongeBob.
All right, now I'm confused because if that wasn't the one that stopped from COVID, then it doesn't make any sense. Because it makes sense if it was COVID that stopped him. It doesn't make sense now to.
No, 2018.
Stop publishing because of that.
Some financial thing then, obviously.
But yeah, there was just something where they just went, no, we're done. So, I don't know. I don't trust my brain anymore.
It's best not to.
You guys over there won't understand, but over here, mistaking Arthur Treacher and Captain D's is not a big deal because they were the two to choose from. They were the two major fish and chip chains, and that was it. I mean, they were literally the McDonald's and Burger King. It was one or the other, so I don't feel bad for my Arthur Treacher mistake.
It was, yeah.
It was the sales in the US that did it. So all the Bongo stuff was extremely popular in Europe.
Okay.
But not in the US.
That's the biggest market as well. If you're not doing well in your biggest market, then I suppose there's no worth carrying on, is it really?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't do caricatures, but I want to try and figure out a way to get him to, like, even if he monsterizes us, him drawing the three of us in some form of monster form, make a backdrop.
Yeah, well, you can't pressurize him, though. You don't want to do it. You don't want to do it. Don't want to get on his nerves.
No, I'm saying he doesn't do caricatures, so if he could make us monsters.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying I want him to give me something. I'm saying, as sort of a commission, what would it take to get you to do this and have this on our show?
Yeah.
I've never asked for anything free from that guy. I've actually I've gone out of my way to say, what can I do for you for this? And his answer was, no, this is a gift. And I'm like, okay, I accept a gift. I'll shut up. But no, I don't ask for freebies. I don't ask anybody. The only thing I ask of people that's free is their time. Is like, I'll talk to you on your free time if you got it. But coolest part about this whole thing today for me was when I got a message a couple hours before we went on. He says, hey, give me a call. I want to touch base with you on a few things in these pictures and figuring this stuff out. And I called him on the telephone. It was like, how flipping cool. You know, one of my favorite whale monsters. There you go, Naman. Yeah, we need to start having people do that. Make us monsters or whatever. But, you know, sure, it's cool to have him on the show. Sure, it's cool, things like that. But when he was like, hey, give me a call, and I can call him. You know, I make jokes about having these people's addresses. But when they trust you enough with that, it's like, how cool is that? It's cool having the comic books. It's cool having signed things. But how cool is it they can just ring you up on the phone or trust you with their address?
A new picture for Tuesday night stream. What's in the box? There you go. I'll be using that one in future.
Yeah, you don't need a monster drawing of you, Gray.
No, exactly. Oh, that reminds me. Actually. Let me just get this picture quickly. All right. I've got a mate. Well, there's a band called it's called Damn. It's called Damn now. But let's see how I can find it. And he's got with his band. He started doing a comic book. I can't remember what it's called now. I meant to dig it out of my box and probably show it off. Actually, I might dig it out in a second. But there's sort of like a heavy metal band fighting against cultists who are trying to summon elder gods, kind of thing. And like they use like there's characters in there you can tell are meant to be someone from we know from the scene or like amalgams of a few people from the scene. And apparently he messaged me today and told me that I'm going to be in book 2, and this is like meant to be me. And there's the picture it was taken from, and that's meant to be me. That's the artist's rendition of me for this for the next issue of this comic. It's like it's flattering, isn't it?
I've got to say, I think you're looking a bit more evil than usual.
He's styled up.
Look at the comparison picture. It looks like him.
Yeah, he's styled up the evil by about 1,000,000%. I think I've got more teeth than there's like.
Yeah, the teeth. You've increased number of teeth.
He certainly has. I've been turned into a demonic monster, but it's still quite fun.
Hey, Graham, you got a link in the chat to hook into this, right?
Sorry?
You got a link in the chat so people can pop in, right?
No, if anyone wants to come in, just let me know. You want to come on, Wormy? You want to come in again?
Well, see, now this is what's making me wonder is I need to figure out, because I've been asking James the last cruise since 1971. He hasn't done a live or anything like that yet. So, James, I know you're watching. You would be a welcome visit. If you want to pop in for a little bit, we'll get you a link, buddy. You want to pop on? Damien, come on.
On his channel, does he? Does he show anything on his channel?
No. Nope. I'm going to try and help get him out of his shell. He shows on Instagram and stuff. He doesn't use YouTube things, and I'm trying to talk him into, you know, what the hell, make a first appearance here, hang out with us old farts, and just talk comic books for a little bit.
Because this is like early on in the day. It's kind of like he does not don't get nowhere near as well.
Or Damien, Sleepy Reader 666, and hop on.
I always tell people it's in the description. People can come in, just let us know. But we're not popular.
I need to get Mad Spidey on here and like behave myself because I make Mad Spidey and Naman blush. But
yeah, fair enough.
But again, I keep a PG-13 here. I can do it. Yeah. I kind of stumbled over my limerick there because it was like, nope, can't say that. Nope, can't say that.
Yeah, Naman's working.
He's watching. He's in the middle of work now. Fair enough. Yeah, that's the trouble with this earlier one because it's 2 hours earlier than the Tuesday night one. Here's a lady of good taste.
Hey, my mom came in after Hillary slid off. So, do you know what she asked me today?
Yep. No, I don't know.
She asked me about adopting you again.
Yeah, well, that's it. It's already done, mate. It's already done. You're on the out. So, you're on the out. You're on the out now.
Mom will have Graham, but not me.
I haven't heard back from Roscoe yet whether he's actually going to be on Cover Slingers this week or not.
You gotta let me know soon because I think I've got one set out just for shits and giggles, but I haven't tried too many. I've been too exhausted. I ended up on Taylor Winder's stream for an hour last night. So
you are the ultimate stream whore, mate, ain't you? You're the ultimate stream whore.
I am.
Cruising for streams all night long.
I did 6.5 hours with Comic Journey the other night.
Yeah.
CBC Awards.
What awards? What, the comic book community awards?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you watching it and commenting, were you saying?
Well, they did a show, but I was watching my grandson. And I could barely move afterwards, but I popped on.
You went on though, you said.
Huh?
You went on the stream.
After. Brian, who may still be in here, Brian LCS, he's
a hello, goodbye kind of guy. I'm not
sure. But he did his show for a couple hours, and then CJ got on and did an after show.
Hey, it's Cap. If you want to come, if you're well enough to come in, Cap, let us know. Cap's not on this Slingers this week. He's got an operation he's going for. So I'm guessing he hasn't gone along there yet, but I'm guessing he's going on sale. He's got like an abscess of his tooth or something. I can't remember what he told me.
Captain wants to interview me and like do 3 segments, talk about comics, talk about my music connections and something else. I don't even remember.
Probably going to get some barnacles.
Yeah.
Get some barnacle what?
He's going to get some barnacles removed off his bottom, probably.
Off his bikini bottom.
But yeah, if Cap wasn't blown away enough by my connections and doing that thing Friday with the guys from Collective Soul and stuff,
he's got an interesting collecting niche there as well, isn't he? Old Cap. He likes his Mark Jewelers.
Yes.
Mark Jewelers and his DC Universe logos. Just like 2 little niches that he kind of like.
I'll get those when I see him. I got a handful of them, but like
I found a DC Universe I put aside for him as well, actually. What about you got other stuff you collect as well, don't you? You used to collect paperbacks. Are you paperbacks or hardback books you collect?
All of it.
I collect first edition crime novels.
First edition crime novels, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That means I got to go through our crime novel thing when my wife says I can trade with you again. So,
you got crime novels as well.
I got some. I got a little bit of
everything. I've got a reasonable collection. I like reading crime novels, so I buy them to read. But I've been collecting.
You watch the crime TV shows at all?
Yeah, I like crime. Yeah,
my niece, she loves detective shows. She loves most of the ones set in the UK though. She finds the American ones a little bit.
The Midsummer Murder.
American,
she
loves the one in the Caribbean, Paradise.
Place in the Sun, whatever it's called.
Paradise. Remember. It's quite fun though.
A Place in Paradise or something like that. It's my daughters love that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I should know the name. She watches it so
Death
often.
in Paradise.
Death in Paradise. That's it. I should remember the name. It's so blinking. She watches it so much. And do you she likes books, couple of books she's in the moment. She actually listens to the audio books rather than read them because she doesn't really have time for reading much. So she listens to audio books since she's in the kitchen.
But I listen to audio books as well.
Yeah. The guy who does Pointless, Richard
Osman, he's done 3 now. Yeah.
Yeah, she loves them. She finds them really amusing, really good fun. Though.
Well, the first one was really good. The second one, not quite as good, and it put me off getting the third because.
Right. Yeah, even if you sign up for that, what's it called, Audible.
I do that. I pay £7. I think I pay £7.99 a month.
Yeah,
and you get a free. You get that buys you 1 book a month. But the one I bought this month was. Do you know J.K. Rowling does crime novels now? So.
That's right. Under a man's name, Dermond or something.
Galbraith, Peter Galbraith.
Oh, Galbraith, right? Okay. Oh, Dermond. I think there's someone else. There's another lady called Dermond, isn't there?
Another lady what?
Dermond. I think she's a crime novelist. I can't remember now. Somebody that name jumped into my head, but I'm probably just making fuck knows what I'm talking about.
Anyway, the J.K. Rowling one, the latest one, I think she's about novel 6 now.
Right.
It's huge, and on audio, it was really good value because it's like about 54 hours long. So I just finished it. It's quite good, actually.
That's a bloody long book, isn't it? Blimey.
Yeah, very long. Mind you, some of the Harry Potter books were quite long as well, weren't they?
Yeah, I never read them, but yeah, most of my family, Lisa's boy loves. He listens to the audio books all the time. Of those, the ones done by Stephen Fry.
Yeah, we had all those when the kids were younger. Whenever we went on a road trip, we'd get the cassette tapes of that.
Yeah,
and just play it in the car to keep them quiet. It worked brilliantly. So So
I only like them as well. I've still got the books here from. You collect them books?
Which books?
Did you say?
I don't collect. I don't collect Harry Potter.
You said something. Oh no! You just had them from when you playing to the kids. Yeah.
Yeah, when Kal-El does these streaming shows, he sort of roams around the neighborhood.
Yeah. I'm trying to. That name pops in my head, and I'm trying to remember what it was now. I'm trying to search it at the moment. So it's a woman. I'm sure there's when you started talking about her Galbraith, whatever. For some reason, Diarmid just came in my name. I'm sure there's and I can't even. It doesn't even seem like a proper name to me, but for some reason that name jumped in my head. I got a picture of her. No, I'm trying to do a search for it, see what it was I was talking about. But maybe it was just my brain farting because I can't see anything with that name.
I mean, most of my favourites are dead now. So Ruth Rendell's dead, Agatha Christie's dead. You know, there's a whole bunch of them who were really good. P.D. James was another of my favourites. She's dead. There's a few female. I generally quite like the women crime writers. You know, they're a bit more subtle.
Well, they've got the minds for crime, haven't they? They think how many times they've thought about killing their husbands. It's like, you know, I'm still trying to work at Cap's comment. I hang out with rock stars and country singers and rappers in Sturgis. My music of people I hang with it is like Grey Man wish list for Jimmy Olsen. Oh, he's saying I would like to hang out with Jimmy Olsen, basically is what he's saying there. Well, who wouldn't want to hang out with Mr. Action? Mr. Action, he's a friend. He's Superman's pal, don't you know? Wouldn't you want to hang out with Superman's pal? I would, definitely. Actually, I wouldn't want to hang out with Jimmy Olsen because he'd be dangerous. He's always getting in trouble.
He can change shape, can't he?
Jimmy Olsen? Well,
yeah. He has professor. He's got a professor, somebody or other, who gives him potions to change shape.
He gives him this. I think he gave him the stretching formula when he comes Elastic Boy, Elastic Lad, or whatever it is. I mean, various other scrapes he gets into. No worse than Lois Lane for getting into scrapes in her own comic book. Almost getting married to monsters from other dimensions and various superheroes from other planets almost getting married to before discovering that they're actually supervillains or I don't know, all kinds of weird stuff.
Oh, I actually got some Lois Lanes today. If I should have brought them to show the covers off.
Oh, you always got to show Lois Lanes, mate. Always got to show Lois Lanes. Yeah.
Some of them are a bit risque, the Lois Lane covers. I'm sure they did them on purpose.
You reckon? You get any doubles, mate? Let me know what you got, and we'll do it.
Oh yeah, no, I've got another Grey Man stack starting.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Getting
the one I got today has got Lois Lane, and you know she's on a dartboard, you know, sort of archery thing.
Yeah.
So she's spread out like that with legs and arms, like on this archery thing.
Yeah.
And then there's a guy with an arrow pointing directly at her crotch.
I've got that one. Mine's got a bit of a hole in it, but I've still got that one. Yeah, that is a little bit on the naughty side. That's a 70s one, isn't it? You can tell by the style of the clothing and that.
Yeah, it's a later one.
I think it's number 44, where she's getting dolled up to marry Batman. He's wearing a Batgirl costume. The early stuff, especially, same with Jimmy. I just love the art. It's so clean and
very clean. Yeah,
and the covers just jump out at you, and this, just the silliness that's going on as well. It's just like, I don't know, it's wholesome, but it's always. Every time I go through my box, I'm like, find myself just going for this and just looking at them all again. It's one of those runs I just feel compelled to.
Yeah, they're great. I really discovered them in the last 18 months. I would have said, "What are you collecting Lois Lane for?" But when I actually look at I got some of the covers, and I'm going, "I love these covers." I found a number when I was up in Edinburgh for the Edinburgh Festival. I found a nice second-hand comic shop, and they had they had about 10 or 12 Lois Lanes for about £2 each.
Man.
I just bought them all, you know.
Oh, absolutely. £2 each. You'd be crazy not to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I went off down to Kent today.
Oh, yeah.
Because I won this auction
Good.
on Saturday. I'd forgotten about it actually. So it was a lot. It was a really peculiar lot. I'm going to put a video up of it, but it's a really peculiar lot. It's and I'd seen it about a month or two ago, and I'd put it on my watch list. But the day the auction was on, I was busy, and I forgot to put a pre-bid in, but it didn't sell. So I actually contacted the auction house and said, this lot didn't sell. You know, I'd be happy to pay the reserve price for it. Anyway, I didn't hear from them. And then about a month later, it appeared again on another auction, the same lot. And it was on Saturday. And again, I wasn't available to watch it. So I put a pre-bid. The minimum bid had come down. So the minimum bid was £50. So I put minimum bid up. Well, I put a bid of 70 on, maximum 70. But it went for the minimum bid, £50.
Cool. How many books is in that one?
Well, it's got stuff dating from 1876.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, actually, one of the things in there was dated 1836. It's one of the things that I wanted to get. It was called a comic alphabet. So this guy in 1836 did this little thing which unfolded, and for each letter of the alphabet, he drew a cartoon.
Right.
Actually, quite famous.
Okay.
Anyway, at one point I got quite excited because I looked it up on the internet, and they've got one on Abe Books that sells for it was selling for $3,500.
Talking about George Cruikshank books, are you?
I am, yeah.
You got a Cruikshank book for £50?
I have, but it's a reprint. So when I went to get, I thought it would be a reprint, but the reprint was about 1970. It's still a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
but it's not worth $3,500. It's worth it's worth.
Yeah, I thought that if you're talking about the old Cruikshank books, I was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That gets out of our realm and gets into like German and things like that, because it goes back even further. And
so you picked up today,
back to the cave paintings, but
I picked up this whole set, which it got that. It's got a book called something about Father Christmas. It's from 1900. That is the original.
That is.
And then there was a whole load of London Illustrated News, one commemorating the death of George V, another doing the abdication of Edward VIII, another one doing the death of George VI. And then there was a set of yes, thanks. I do need to. And then there was this thing called the English Workman, which was published between 1850 and 1892, which is basically a temperance magazine celebrating the working man. Here's my wine. They dated from 1876, and the art's amazing. Anyway, the reason I bought this lot was it had got some comics in there from 1920. So there was a comic called The Boys Magazine, which ran from 1922 to 1934. And this UK comic. UK comic. This collection had got 5 issues. It got issues, so it ran. It was weekly, so ran for 12 years, or about 600 odd issues. And this collection had issue 2, 3, 4, and 7 in it, in really good condition. Yeah.
Did it have any characters that like had longevity that would have heard about now? Did they like because no Billy Bunters or nothing like that, or
No, one of the ongoing stories is about a character called Dinky.
Dinky.
Dinky, and he's a member of the queer club.
Yeah, back in the day when it meant something different, yeah. That's interesting.
So I went and checked the mail. There's a fun thing to get in the mail.
Oh, U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs.
Check.
Yeah, I wish. It's a checkup, but yeah, good
They're
stuff.
not calling you back. Not calling you back to service, are they, mate?
Not my old dead ass.
Sending you to Russia.
I did get something, and I was kind of hoping to open Hillary's thing on here, JM's thing on here, but.
Are you sure he's sending you that CD?
Oh yeah, he's emailing me apologies for dragging his feet and
cool.
Together and stuff. But I do have another Gemini mailer with the winning I got off of one of Roscoe's shows the other day.
I want a freaking sketch on Roscoe's Between the Lines, but like it's a character. Cool. I had to pay postage for it. And it was a character that I had no knowledge about. So it's like, well,
the irony to that is I was on that wheel because it was Ratman from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That's right, it was Ratman. You was on there as well.
Yeah. I wanted to win that, and the irony to that is the kid lives right up the street from me, quite literally. He's like a 10-minute drive from my house.
Did you win it in the end?
No.
Oh.
No.
Did you win it? I thought you said you won the sketch.
Yeah, I won it, but I had to pay postage for it if I wanted to get it. And
yeah,
it's like, I was never a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan, so I had no knowledge of the character. So I thought, there's no point paying $20 postage or whatever for something that's going to sit in a drawer, you know? So I was joking. First of all, I joked. I was going to say give it to Roscoe, but before that, I put a stupid joke saying, "Oh, just burn it for me," kind of thing, just as a joke. Just like, but like before I had a chance to say, "No, really, I'm not joking." Give it to Roscoe. He already started the wheel again because I was going to gift it to Roscoe because he got his stream. But oh well.
I think it may have ended up going to Roscoe. But yeah, speaking of drawings on that, I'm thinking that Muttley needs to find its way here.
Well, that wasn't drawn on paper. That was just drawn on paint, so I could just send it to you.
Yeah. But yeah, this was one of my winnings, a $25 thing there. But I walked over to my paperbacks while I'm up here.
That's from the Legends of the Dark Knight run.
This is what I collect.
Created the Destroyer.
Remo Williams. Silly stuff here. Okay. But yeah,
the Greyman and I are looking completely baffled, Kyle, because we have no idea what it is.
No, I've not seen it. Beat not the bones. Let me put it on a big screen so you can see the art better. Beat not the bones. That sounds like a blinking admission to admonishment to not masturbate.
Yeah. So
I can imagine the head of the nunnery or something. I don't know.
That's some murder suspense story pulp stuff, and then these were.
Where does Kyle live? The nexus of all universes. He lives in.
It's in it. I think the nexus of all universes is in Indianapolis.
Yeah, Remo. Yeah, Remo Williams. That's what it is. The Remo Williams movies. Here's some 50s.
Are these all new stuff you got? Is that what's coming out of that box? Oh no, just the crates coming out of the box.
Oh, Ray Bradbury, Isaac Asimov stuff that they did in the old
title was A Space and Time.
The Wonder War.
I've got an old Gardner Fox character called, I think it was called what was it? Kofar the Barbarian. Not at all a
jury. And then it gets more interesting. How about The Lost World by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle?
Oh, yeah. Dinosaurs. You can't go wrong with dinosaurs. Isn't that just like the Savage Land in
Michael Moorcock?
Marvel. Yeah. The Jewel in the Skull. Those old like 70s kind of style.
Here's a funny one. Awesome. James Gunn, The Station in Space. Of course, it's not the James Gunn, the movie director, because this is from like 1951.
Yeah.
Then this run, I just love these as cool as they are. See if you can tell what these have in common.
John Jakes, the Planet Wizard. All right. Art. Who's the art? It's not what's his face, is it? Doing the art. Old the guy who did loads of fantasy blinking drawings back in the day. Boris Vallejo?
Nope.
Okay. Looks like the same artist though.
Andre Norton. Twilight Serpent. Yeah, same artist.
I don't know the artist. He's not blinking what's his face? Facetto, is it?
No, but it is close.
Right. Yeah, I'm no good at knowing artists.
Gardner Fox, Mother in the Mystic Stone.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. I've got a book by him, Co-Fire the Barbarian, Gardner Fox.
But yeah, that would be one of the 4 members that came out of the studio.
Co-Fire, you've got a Co-Fire book. That's what I was just talking about. Co-Fire the Barbarian. That's Co-Fire and the Magic Sword.
Yeah. Yep.
Co-Fire the Magic Sword. I don't think I've got that much.
This is one of the artists from the studio. You remember the studio? The big 4? Barry Windsor Smith.
Okay.
Mike Kaluta.
Right.
I've got a couple of Doc Savage over easy.
Bernie Wrightson. And Jeffrey Catherine.
Every single company going. He's in a Marvel property. He's been a DC property. He's only like loaned out to companies, isn't he? He's not actually owned by any of the big, comic companies.
Back then he was Jeff Jones, but yeah, that's Jeffrey Catherine Jones.
Well, the artist.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Catherine Jones.
Jeffrey Jones. He transitioned to Catherine Jones.
Jeffrey Jones. I never heard of Jeffrey Jones, I've got to say.
He's in the studio with Kaluta Smith and Bernie Wrightson.
Well, I've heard of Wrightson and Kaluta and the other one.
Well,
I never heard of Jeffrey
those 3
Catherine
guys
Jones.
called Jeff Jones the consummate artist.
Okay.
Those 3 guys looked up to Jeffrey Jones.
All right.
So yeah, Jeff Jones was another level. Quite literally another level. So here, I'll go get some more off the wall here.
Have you got any Doc Savage? Doc Savage, Man of Bronze.
My Doc Savages are just buried. 70s comics.
I've got a Spider-Man annual where he teams up with Doc Savage.
Let's see. We'll get these out of the way in this order. That's a Jim Starlin autographed Star Wars card.
Yeah, Jeffrey Catherine Jones. Yeah, I've got it here.
That's a Neil Adams. That's Jeff Jones. That's Jeff Jones Star Wars. And
he created the cover art for more than 150 books.
And then I don't think there's your Barbarian right there in a hologram. So
those all signed.
The holograms aren't signed, but everything else is signed. That's signed by Jones. That's signed by Jones. That's signed by Neil Adams. That's signed by Jim Starlin.
Just reading the Wikipedia, I'd never heard of them, but Frank Frazetta has called them the greatest living painter. So they must have been good.
That's what I said. Jones was another level. Like, I don't know if you can read that, but yeah, Jones was another level. So, yeah, if you don't know, Wonder Woman 201 and 202, those classic covers, that's Jones.
Okay.
Those Wonder Woman covers.
Today.
So, yeah, I cannot sing enough. I got to talk to her right before she died, and it's sad.
Interesting.
A lot of heartbreak there. A lot of heartbreak.
Did you pick up the auction lot, Mark?
Yeah, I drove down to Kent and picked it up. It was really peculiar. It was like disappearing back into Victorian times. So I arrived at this place. It's in this little village in Kent.
Yeah.
Really difficult to find. It was down a little lane with not much room. And there was some guy picking up a sofa or something. Anyway, I managed to park. And I went to this. There's a door that said public door. And it was like twice as wide as a normal door and about 4'5", 4'6" tall. It looked like a hobbit lived in there. And it was like a ramshackle sort of old, like Edward Scissorhands type house. I rang the bell and the woman said, push the door. So I pushed the door and sort of flew out, and there was these rickety stairs going up. So I climbed up these rickety stairs, and there was no heating. It was freezing. There were two women sat there behind the counter wearing woolly hats, mittens, and scarves. So I said, I've come to collect my lot. And I said, name. I said, Oldroyd. So she went, and she gave me something. I said, take that to Robin. Okay. I said, thanks. Where's Robin? She went, as if, I'm meant to know who Robin is. So I said, honestly, it was like out of Dickens. And so I said, she said, go through that door, turn right, there's another door, go up the stairs again. So I thought, okay. So go out this rickety door, through another door, up some more ramshackle stairs. And then there's this guy, he was trying to take some photographs or something. I said, is Robin here? He said, yes, that's me. So I said, I've come to collect a lot. He said, oh, okay. So I gave him the thing. Robin was nice. So he got my stuff and he said, oh, you've got an interesting lot here. He said, that's quite an interesting book. That was the Father Christmas book on the top. And I said, yeah. And he said, do you want a box? I said, no, I'm okay. And then I had to negotiate my way down the rickety stuff. I mean, it was just odd, very odd.
Strange.
They didn't do postage.
Right. All right. No option for postage at all.
No. So if you wanted to get your stuff, if you didn't want to go and collect it, you have to organise one of these special companies to go and collect it, and they cost a bleeding fortune.
I bet they would. Yeah.
So I thought, it's a 2-hour drive. I've got nothing to do today. I'll just drive down there, pick them up, and come back.
Yeah, 2 hours ain't way.
So,
you've done worse.
Any word on your 1848 yet?
The guy's given me. I've got full refund, but it was only £13.50. I'd rather have the comic. I'd rather have the book, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping
granted,
it's been
if you'd have
lost
landed that Cruikshank, now you get, like I said, you get into Cruikshank and stuff like that, then it's non-English. There's English translations, but once you go back into that, then it's the Germanic. And it's the...
Hang on, wait a minute. It said he lived in Pentonville. That's pretty English. The thing has got the thing on the front of it says such and such a street, Pentonville. That's not Germany.
Well, that's what I said. There was an English translation to it, but that's where it comes from. That's where it all stemmed from. Like Obadiah Oldbuck isn't in English. It's a German book translated to English. That's why they call that the first comic.
George Cruikshank sounds English.
So
it does sound all English.
The guy's name or whatever is not the relevance. The relevance is it was published out of Germany in German, and then that became the English. So the first English comic book technically was by Cruikshank, but it was an American. It was an English translation. I keep wanting to say American, but it's an English translation.
Okay, George Cruikshank.
He was born in London. He was born in London and died in London.
Yeah, entirely English.
Oh, I did it again, Rudy Toppler. I did it again.
Are you confusing different people?
I switched Rudolph Toppler with George Cruikshank.
Honestly, you can't believe when it comes out of Kyle's mouth because he's like.
I give up. I can't even keep track of it.
Remembering.
Now look up Rudolph Toppler.
No, it's all right. We're talking about
Toppler.
I don't want to look up somebody else. You'll be asking me to look up fish and chip restaurants again next. It's like
Cruikshank translated Toppler.
Did he?
Yeah, it was Rudolph Toppler. That's where they took that from. That's where Cruikshank is like the guy that anglicized it. You know what I mean? I flipped the
He was a
character.
cartoonist in his own right. He wasn't copying anybody.
No, but he's the one that brought it. You get what I'm saying? He's the one that brought Toppler. He's the one that introduced the world to Toppler. He's like the Alan Class, but he is a cartoonist or whatever. But Rudolph Toppler was the one where the Germanic stuff came from and then got translated.
Okay.
Obadiah Oldbuck came from Toppler.
I'm trying to look up Toppler now. Well, I'm trying to see if there's any
Toppler.
I'll see if there's any mention of him in Cruikshank's biography. He worked for Dickens, apparently. Did quite a few.
Yeah, and he illustrated Tristram Shandy. You can't get much more British than this.
Right. Let's look up this other one that Carl's telling me about. I don't care who the guy. I'm not interested in any of these people, so I don't know what I'm looking up for. Toppler. How you spell it?
Toppler.
Fler.
Yeah, Toppler. Rudolph Toppler.
Well, I see a Toppler, Rudolph.
Okay, so
bearing in mind I've got no bloody D on my bloody keyboard, so it could have been.
I can see why this 1936 a comic alphabet was worth $3,500, because at the same time he was doing the illustrations for Dickens' Sketches by Boz.
No, there's no sign of a Rudolph Toppler.
Is it just Toppler? I thought it was Toppler.
We don't trust anything you say, mate, to be honest.
Look up Obadiah Oldbuck. I wish I could pull this shit up on my phone. I'm not even going to pull out the books right now. So I don't trust my brain anymore. I'm juxtaposing people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's easily done, mate. When we get, you see, the thing is, the only problem is you say it with such confidence, like everyone tends to think you're telling what you're talking about, and then it turns out you're thinking of something completely different.
Well, someone. They're all they're the Stanleys and the Jack Kirbys of their day. So, and it's from 200 plus years ago, or about 200 years ago.
Yeah, it is 1836.
Toppler. Those are the Mount Rushmore of the Victorian guys.
Obadiah, who was it?
Oldbuck.
Oldbuck.
Yeah. So I thought it was Toppler, but it could have been Toppler.
By the Adventures of Obadiah Oldbuck?
Yeah. I hate not having a computer handy when my brain.
Toppfer. Toppfer.
Toppfer. I added the L. Yeah. Okay. I thought I might added the F. I added the O. Yeah, Toppfer is a contemporary back then, and they're the guys who helped build the whole thing. They're the guys whose illustrations.
He's known for his illustration books, which are possibly the earliest European comics. He is known as the father of comic strips and has been credited as the first comics artist in history.
That's what I'm saying. That's right. I juxtaposed two of the biggest names in the business. But Toppler influenced Cruikshank. I just flipped him. That's all I did was just flip two guys. But Cruikshank is credited for bringing Toppler to the world. So that's what I'm trying to draw a comparison.
Yeah, but you heard what you said. Yeah, I was trying to see after your memory farts of other things. I'm trying to see if there's anything mentioned in it anywhere. So you can not remember.
Yeah, there's nothing about.
All you got to do is open an Overstreet guide. Just open an Overstreet guide, any Overstreet guide.
Yeah, but you think if he was responsible for bringing him to the world, it'd be mentioned somewhere in the biography on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
But anyway, whatever.
Well, he should
I'm not going to remember these tomorrow anyway.
He's been in every Overstreet for like 25 years. So Bob Beerbaum, who does it in the States.
Beans on toast, not toast and beans.
Yeah. But Yeah, those are the big guys. Those are the main names. If you see now,
I'll
I
stick to
looked
DC
what
and
they
Marvel.
did, but did I or did I not know exactly who did that book when you talked about it, Mark?
Yeah,
When
yeah, you did.
When
You
you
said
talked
you
about
did.
the book,
No,
I
you
knew
said
the name and everything.
you
So
did.
all I
Yeah.
brain farted was their like history. But at least I
Sorry
knew
about that.
exactly what that was. But you know, hey, if I kept my brain as sharp as I used to, I would have corrected myself. But
As the old saying, you've forgotten more than many people ever knew in the first place.
well, yeah, because like I am a reference material for that shit. I'd be embarrassed by it, but you know, what are my mom and 10 other people gonna say about it? You know, I still know enough of what I'm talking about to get you in the ballpark. Because again, you know, like I said, with his
Well,
1848,
you was the one who realised their mistake anyway. I do that all the time. I think of something, and then 5 minutes later, oh no, it wasn't that. It was that. I was thinking of something. Yeah. There's too much in there. It's the retrieval system is the problem. The storage is in there, but it's the retrieval system. It goes to the wrong file.
And the amazing thing is, if people know what they're looking at, it's worth a ton of money.
Yeah.
If they don't know what they're looking at, you can get it for 20 pounds.
Mm.
Or they'll be like, oh, it's an 1835 book. 1835 book sold for 50 pounds. So it's going to be 50 pounds because it's an 1835 book, not understanding the historical significance of it.
You have to start
That's
looking
like
at
the one I'm still sick to my stomach
America
because
file.
I know you're going to get the 1848, so you got me by 6 years, but that's where the name comicalities came from or was popularized. You know, there's always exactly where things come from is always up for debate. But comicalities and word balloons and thought bubbles, it came from Cruikshank and Topper and those guys. Even though, you know, Ben Franklin had done a couple 100 years before that, but it became popularized. And Punch magazine is credited in 1841 for actually calling them comics. So that's why I always want an 1840s. That's my grail.
Yeah,
you know,
the interesting thing about that comic alphabet is it calls it a comic alphabet, and that's before 1841.
And again, there will be things where they'll reference it, but what popularized it? So there's always the debate because there's always rediscoveries. There's always things like that. You know, the word comedy came before. The word comics came before, but when it was associated with it, that's what made it associated with it. And that's the history you can be traced. But there's new discoveries all the time. But you're looking back just about 200 years, and there may be only 5 copies of any given book that pop up. There could be references to it going back to Gutenberg's Bible, but who has them? You know what I mean?
Gutenberg's Bible?
The first printed thing.
Oh.
The Gutenberg's Bible is the first thing mass printed.
Okay.
So there's only 6 of them on the planet, and they're priceless. So Gutenberg hand printed the Bible.
Yeah, I haven't found one of those in an auction yet.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah, like when I get in these long talks with Mark on these calls, it's like everything's a new discovery because you could be holding the one that could specifically reference something for the first known time. And sure, it can go back and it can be used. You know, there's vaudeville comedy, there's East End comedy, there's things like that goes back, but there's just getting fewer and fewer and fewer references to it because they called the first American comic was the Live Free or Die thing that Ben Franklin did. But that was a one-off, like woodcut thing that was done. But yeah, and again, it goes back to the cave paintings of Lascaux. That's as far back as we traced it, is the cave paintings in France, which is all the same thing. It's one big domino fall. But the more you learn about it, the more you realize these were the godfathers. These were the fathers of modern comic books.
The very first character was Mammoth Hunter Man. Pretty
Yeah.
sure.
Was he on a cave wall?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, Mammoth Hunter Man. The adventures. The dude used to have pouches all down. He's like and a spear with. He couldn't draw his feet though. That's the only problem.
How much is the first edition wall cave
Yeah.
with Manhunt?
And
Mammoth
like,
Hunter Man was hard to
and I'm
find.
pretty sure, like, if it said comic on that comic album for those, that would have told you it's a later print because I know it doesn't say comic on the Toothache, and the Toothache is the most renowned Cruikshank one because it's a big fold out. It's like an 8-foot fold out.
This is a fold out.
So yeah, and they copied them when they reprinted them. But if you have an original, the Toothache is a huge fold out. And I know it doesn't say comic on it because I've seen there's, like I said, open at Overstreet. There's pictures of it in like 10 different Overstreet price guides. But yeah, I mean, I learned this stuff off the guys that wrote the book on it directly from them. So, you know, if I flip it a little bit.
Back a bit. I just realised what I was trying to think of earlier on. It's Val McDermott. Val
McDermott.
Like
yeah, she's brilliant.
That's what I was trying to think in my head earlier on. Yeah.
Yeah, Wiring the Blood. So she's yeah. I read everything she writes. She's one of the best female crime writers out there. Bit gory. Right. She's a bit gory.
Right.
But yeah, very good.
Yeah.
She's Scottish.
Yeah. I've read a few. Who was the one who had a TV show for a time? I can't remember his bloody name now. Based in Scotland. Oh,
Rebus. Ian Rankin.
Yeah, I think it was. He started with something to do with the SAS. He's like in his first story, he was like in the SAS for a while or something like that.
He may have been.
Yeah, I think I only read the one then. Yeah.
They're very good as well. I like Ian Rankin. Yeah.
I used to like the Sven Hassel war books. Have you ever read them back in the day?
I've never really been into war. I like the crime and detective stuff, but war leaves me a bit. My dad used to like those type of novels, so I did read a couple.
You got any of the old Commando booklets or the old Star Wars booklets?
I've deliberately avoided trying going down that rabbit hole.
Yeah,
because it's a whole new. There's a whole load of collectors who just collect those things.
Yeah.
And I see them at auctions quite regularly.
And
they're quite popular.
You like that? Maybe.
Yeah.
No, I mustn't. Don't do it. Don't go there.
Exactly. I know that if I get 20 or 30 of them, then it's going to be nightmare because I'll just have to go and get more of them. So I've deliberately avoided those.
Yeah. Well, because your collecting is more like just like a little bit of what you fancy, really. Is there any kind of like runs you're desperately trying to finish, or other than SpongeBob, obviously?
Well, I've just about finished SpongeBob. I've got about 5 Brave and the Bolds to get.
I thought you had the whole Brave and the Bold.
No, I haven't.
That's right.
I haven't got the first Suicide Squad.
All right.
Because it's gone a silly price.
Yeah, I would say you should have got that before because it's getting a bit much now, probably.
Yeah. Because most of my Brave and the Bold run I got really cheap because I collected them in the early 90s. Yeah. So I don't like paying silly money for them, so there's about 5. I've got all the cheap ones, all the 100 to 200. I've got all of them.
Yeah, I've got 100 to 200 as well because that was when I started collecting again in 2018. That was one of the first ones I wanted to go for because I really loved the Brave and the Bold back in the day, and it's like let's
if somebody came to me, and they were youngish, and they said I want to start collecting comics, I'd said you can do worse than going for Brave and the Bold 100 to 200.
Yeah, they're not expensive ones, 200 either.
They're quite cheap. You can pick decent copies up for sort of £3 or £4.
Yeah,
and they're good. They're Batman crossovers. So yeah, I think
the most expensive one in that run is probably 200 because it's got some.
200.
But it was only 20 quid when I bought it. A couple of years ago, and I thought that was very reasonable for the first Katana and
200 has got a bit loopy in the last few years. Right. It never used to be that price. It always used to be the same as what 100 to 200, but it has taken off a bit in the last
Yeah.
few years. Yeah. So yeah, I've got about 4. I've got. I mean, I collect Batman and Detective, but that's like a lifetime.
Yeah, it's not one you're legitimately thinking you're ever going to finish at any point.
I'm never thinking I'm going to finish those.
No.
You know, and every auction I go to, I can pick up some Batmans and Detectives.
Yeah.
You know, because there's just so many of them, and you can pick the ones up in the 300s for a $5, and so.
Yeah.
But I've now got a Batman 15 courtesy of Kyle. I've got a few nice early ones. What else do I? So my main collections are the ones I wouldn't sell. The one is my Fantastic Four.
Right.
I've got a really good collection of Fantastic Four.
You got number one? Oh, sorry.
I've got a Creepy Worlds Creepy Worlds 32.
Yeah.
Which is as close as I'm going to get, I think.
Right, yeah.
I have got a number 2. I've got a Fantastic Four number 2.
Right.
I picked it up. It was literally an auction house, the closest auction house to me. It's about 25 minutes away. They found it in a chicken shed somewhere. Turkey farm. No, it was a turkey farm.
Wow. You hear stories of like Action 1 being found on the floorboards and stuff like that.
Yeah. Anyway, I've got
Brave and the Bold you guys don't have.
What, because it's in a bag? Or is it a special one?
What is it?
Back all sealed up. 40 years.
I haven't got that.
That's no good to anybody, though, is it? It's sealed up in a bag. I don't want one that's sealed up in a bag.
Well, you got the book to read, but do you have one?
Exactly. It does nothing for me. I'm not one who cares about.
Is that another Whitman? Is that a Whitman?
Yeah, it was a Whitman. I never want more than one copy. I can't understand these people who want like this version, that version. It's like, no, one copy. I want one copy to read and to keep in my box with the rest of them.
But how many people in the world have a still sealed Brave and the Bold?
No, fair enough.
Back in the day.
You have, Kyle.
The thing is, that excites you, Carl. That's your part of your collecting. For you, that's like, but for me, it's like, what's the point of that then? You know what I mean? It's completely different in different aspects, you know. For me, I want to have if someone to give me a bag of comics, it'd be like, oh yeah, good, I'll open them up. And everyone, people would go, no, they were sealed in the bag. And I went, no, I'm going to read them. You know? But each to their own.
The amazing part is the bag survived 40 years.
Yeah. But it's not melty.
It keeps the comics in high grade, but again, there's only one Whitman pack worth a ton of money, and that's because it has the first Taskmaster and X-Men 118 in it.
Okay.
So
what's
all the rest of them are out there, but not many people have them.
What's X-Men 118, Carl?
X-Men 118, Avengers 196, and like a Tarzan book or something.
Yeah, but what's the significance of X-Men 118?
Nothing. Just that it's in there. The only just that it's in there. It's a burn X-Men, the first Taskmaster, first cover of Taskmaster.
Well, it's going for
there's just a handful of them out there. So
9.6 is $185 for X-Men 118.
Yeah. But again, people have the books. How many people have them still in their
in the bag? Yeah. So I can see the significance. I understand why people would be excited about them, but it's just not my bag. You know, it's just not my thing. Yeah.
I don't know. Mark said he spotted another one of them sealed Kings, and I'm like, wow, because I've never seen a second one.
Yeah, I'm watching it on eBay, Kyle.
Never seen a second one.
A sealed bag of what you just showed.
No, there's a 1967 set, and I've never seen another still sealed one. Because that's over 50 years. That's like 55 years old. You know, it's a thing meant to be given to kids in like their Christmas stocking.
Yeah, most of them got opened, I'm sure. Yeah,
they don't exist.
Yeah,
I mean, if he spotted a second one, that's the second one I've ever heard of. And I think someone had said they have a run of them or something. But you know, it's one of them you take years and years and years and years to find, and then when you find one, it takes years and years and years and years to see one again. Because I mean, hell, I had mine for 10 years, so if you seeing one now, I didn't see one before. I saw one now. 10 years later, another one popped up. You know, that just boggles my mind that he even found another one, because they won't make it. They just won't make it through the time. Somebody's going to go, oh, nope, I'll open that, or oh, nope, we'll throw that away. I had to break my mom's heart today because I said yesterday that it was my stepdad that threw away my $5 million card, and it was my mom that did it. And she's like, yeah, don't remind me of that.
I missed it, Kyle. Not only is there another one, but it didn't sell.
Oh wow!
It was a minimum price. It was $50 first bid, and nobody bidded on it. Oh, but he's relisted it. I might.
Is it an auction or a buy now?
It was an auction, but started at $50.
Has you got to make an offer option?
So you've got to put a minimum bid in of $50.
You got to put $50 down to even sniff one of these 3-packs.
Well, nobody was interested in it, mate.
That's the thing. That's what
fell
I
all the way between the cracks then, because that's insane. I know 20 people right now that would buy that if they knew it was there. I know people that ask me, how did you find those? It's like, I found it, you know. These go at a bare minimum at $30. When you're talking DC 3-packs, you're 50 to 100 just for these. Just
I will
for
look
any
at the
random
sale price.
looks
Is
at
there any
these.
sale price for other ones, Mark, to see if anybody else is, if any of the others like it have sold recently?
I have to say it's the only one I found, but he's relisted it, so I might have a bit of go at it. Oh, there's another one here.
Is it still sealed? I've seen an open, torn open one.
Right, this is the different. It's a different one. It's from 1967. It's a King 3-pack, and it's Popeye 87, Blondie 170, and Beetle Bailey 60. And the guy's got it for sale for $49.99.
I would buy that in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat.
I wouldn't, because the free comics inside it are probably only worth $10, isn't they?
No, they're not actually.
No?
No, they're not. They were worth a bit.
Yeah,
Okay.
the comics aren't cheap either, but just to find them in the bag, I mean, somebody, is it the same guy that has 2 of them?
Yeah.
Then it's somebody.
Okay.
I can tell you what happened. Somebody died. Somebody had that, and somebody died, and their grandkids are selling it.
Right. I've actually just found that one now at $34. That's the third one I found.
Are you kidding? Still sealed.
Yeah, still sealed.
Is that buy it now or bid?
It's a buy it now. I might buy it if Kyle's right. $34.99 for $34.19. It says lots of 3 12-cent comics, Popeye, Blondie, Beetle Bailey, sealed King comic pack, 1967, very fine plus, over 55 years old and still sealed in their original plastic package.
Wow. Is that on America eBay you're looking on?
Yeah.
Wow.
While you're there, can you look for my comics for me?
So Kyle, given that I traded it, my value in the trade for that was $120. I think that's quite a good price at $34.19, don't you?
No, that's spectacular. That's why I said you can't get these for that.
So this guy has relisted this and he's taken the minimum bid down.
Oh my God. Ugh. If I could reach through it, strangle you. You found them, and now you can get them, and I can't get them. And it's like, oh God, I can't get these for the Christmas things. I could replace.
What's the cheapest copies of these on the US eBay, mate? Defenders number 2, 3, 8, and 10.
Defenders 2, 3,
rattiest copies.
Do what? Oh, you're the Defenders you need.
Yeah.
2.
They're always too expensive over here.
You can get 2 for like $20 in mid to low grade. You can get.
Not in the UK, you can't.
I got my 10 for under 30 shipped in mid to low grade.
Yeah.
So I've got a Defenders hit 2 here. Silver Surfer joins the Defenders. Is that the one?
Yeah.
It's on an auction. $10.
Okay.
Kitty. Want to be on TV, Kitty, girl? Come here, Kitty.
It's not great. It's in a VG.
VG's fine, mate. VG's lovely. So I'm looking at $30. Yeah. So because I went on coming on the ones on my eBay one, some of them were like $8 or whatever, but they're a little bit more expensive nowadays at the moment. Wait till there's some crappier ones.
This says
one I need
it's
free.
fine condition other than the 3-hole punch.
Yeah. Other than the 3-hole punch.
Well, that's quite okay. Oh wow, that's not number. That's number. Why did it suddenly go into that one? I was number 3. I was looking at. Yeah, $30 for the number 3 as well.
Hey, what ones are you missing?
Oh, wait, I'll get them.
Did you say 2, 4?
No, 2, 3, 8, and 10.
2, 3, 8, and 10.
It says, be sure to go to our comic shop bookstore when you visit on the 17th. You just bought a lot of auction books from these old farmers' estates who passed away. It's a message from your mum, Kyle. You got to visit her local comic book store when you're there.
Yeah.
You just bought a load of books from an old farmer's estate.
Yeah, I got to do that.
I wish we had more. I wish we had like what do you call it, flea marts here and bloody well.
So it was 2.
Here.
It was 2,
2, 3, 8, and 10.
3, 8, and 10.
Yeah, that was the one.
That's from my Avengers 118 taunting.
Yeah, I thought so. I had a feeling that was where it was going. I knew you didn't have doubles of them, and you need them for your run. So,
if I had duplicates, I'd just give you these duplicates.
Oh dear. Yeah, it's a right pain in the ass finding them in the UK sometimes. Every now and again, I'll go to myself, let's look up so and see what it's going for if I can get it. And it's like, I end up doing the sensible thing and not bothering because they're not going any reasonable price or they're not in the UK or that kind of thing.
Mark's just tormenting me because he keeps finding these things he can snatch up that I can't touch right now.
I've just put an offer in for one of those 3-packs from 1967 for $25. Let's see if he goes for it.
Watch me throw up on my phone here. Jesus.
Let's try 21s for $40. So annoying.
Yeah. Yeah, $25 for 3 of those mint condition books for 1967 is a steal. Still in the bag. It's, I'd say unheard of, but some of them popped up. So, not surprised a couple of them came from the same spot, but yeah, those I don't think are warehouse finds. Those are just guys like me that had them, then they died, and then their family just went, well, we'll get rid of them. But that had such a succinct title to it. I'm like, how the hell do they know what they're talking about if they're talking about the condition of the books? And then they're like sealed 1967. Look for them on Sold. You're not going to find them. And it drives me nuts because I know people that have won them and they're not finding them. And I'm like, use these catchwords. Use pre-sealed. Use bag sets. Use 3-packs. And it gets lost in the shuffle. So you get lucky if it says, if they know the year. They tend not to know the year. And then if you put still sealed in there, the brand new Walmart stuff comes up and just peppers the thing.
Ghost Rider 21, yeah, but it won't ship to the UK.
But yeah, I mean, in my book, the value of those is a lot damn higher than $35. A lot damn higher than $35.
Yeah. It depends what to buy them now, though, doesn't it?
We put $120 on it.
Yeah, and I thought you got a steal of a deal on that. You got a steal of a deal on that because there just isn't comparable.
You can buy the same thing for $35 now.
And I'd say pounce all over it and sell one of them.
Yeah, they might
sure
have
shit wouldn't sell it for $35. There is nothing about me that would sell one. I wouldn't sell any sealed packs I have for $35. I mean, if you count shipping or whatever. Some of those, like warehouse finds, Star Wars, they are worth $35. But the DC 3 packs are harder than hell to find. The Kings are harder than hell to find.
Well, I'm guessing whoever sold them has not been able to sell them at a higher price, and so he's put them down until they've gone to.
Well, no, I was watching didn't sell, so he's relisted it at a lower price.
That just damn sure means I didn't see it, because I would have been ribbing my wife, hey, we need to go buy this. We need to go buy
but that just means they're worth a lot to you, and most, a lot of people who don't know about it.
But I know 20, I literally can name 20 people right now that would have pounced all over that. So that's what I'm saying. Did they overlook it? Did they? I mean, here's some prime examples. Pop Comics in New York. Scott, the classic comic collector. In a heartbeat, he'd pounce on that if he saw it. He'd just absolutely pounce on it. That's why I said somebody does not know what they're doing. Because I know too many people that would just be all over that. There's too many people. I probably got propositioned for mine 10 different times. And I wouldn't come off of it. I got propositioned up to $100 cash and I wouldn't come off of it. Because I can't find another one. If I could find another one, I would have cut that thing loose years ago. So that's what I'm saying. If you can find another one, grab it. And then wait out, just hang your line in the water and wait for that guy to walk by that goes, I want
about 3, Kyle.
And I'm telling you that
you're not looking very hard, Kyle, by the sound of it.
Somebody's desperate for money because are there any unsold?
Back in the day, Kyle, before eBay, the people couldn't find them because they didn't have that facility to look for them like this.
Up until 6 months ago, when my wife made me stop even looking at eBay, I was looking for that shit all the time. Like all the time. I'd sit out here and just scroll and look for it. And she'd hope I wouldn't find it. I'd find something. She'd be like, well, you're looking as but I went through 1,000 things to find it because they fall between the cracks. And if he's finding 3 of them, I'm saying jump the hell on all 3 of them and you can sell them all for a profit. You can sell them all cheaper worth and make a profit off of them because there are more guys like me out there. There are plenty.
It does happen. I've seen it happen on eBay. If you're looking, it's like with Alan Class, if you just happen to look at the right time.
Yeah.
That's why I always look at, the comics I'm searching for. I always look at newly listed.
Yeah. And you hope like hell that group of guys doesn't see it. Because if they do, there goes the price.
Yeah. And there's a couple of times where I've got
finding those for $35.
Literally, somebody just listed one 5 minutes ago at a crazy price, and I go, "This guy doesn't know what this is." Buy.
Yeah.
So it doesn't.
That's what I'm saying on those. If I had the bank, I'd just snatch all of them out from under you, every one of them, just to have one and get rid of the other ones. Because I did not want to let go of that. Because to me, that would have been the hardest thing to replace. Well, no, there's like 6 things that would have been the hard thing.
Yeah, you're not going to get.
There were some impossible to replace that I traded with you. But But yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you're making a steal of a deal if you get one of those, much less all three of them. But the sad thing is, like I said, two of them come from the same place. Somebody died, and they're dumping them. So because those are dump prices, and I can tell you something else. If they're in the $35 range, they're comparing it to sealed 3-packs from the late 70s, early 80s. They're not comparing it to 60s. And which is like what they do with the old books. They're like, oh, this is an 1850 book. We charge $20 for an 1850 book. There you go. And not having any idea what book it is.
But the good news is, though, Carl, you can find your love in New City. That's the good news.
All right.
That's what you should be concentrating on. Forget about these 3-packs. Just look for find your love in New City. That's what you need.
Yeah, because if you look up DC Whitman sealed packs, the price range runs from like 35 to 100 and some odd bucks, and they just range there. So that's what people are throwing those up for when it's not even in the same discussion. They're so much rarer. And they aren't, if they're warehouse finds, I hadn't heard about the warehouse find. So, but a lot of those, I can almost guarantee you, of those 3 listings you're looking at, 2 of them are coming out of Wisconsin minimum. Are they coming out of Wisconsin?
Why is that where the warehouse is or something? Or someone who's died?
That's where Whitman's was based.
Okay.
I'm not sure I could tell. The seller information. Oh, Alabama.
Alabama?
Yep.
Yeah, Alabama bound.
Snatch those up immediately. Snatch those up.
Alabama.
Hawthorne, Alabama.
Hawthorne, California.
Hawthorne, California is a comic dealership. Really? A comic dealer is selling one of those for cheap?
He's selling it for $49. He's the guy selling them at $49.99.
He needs slapped in the head. That's a comic dealer.
He's a dealer. He's I can tell by the number of
he's a dealer. Yeah, the Hawthorne's a comic dealer out there. The Alabama one, they have no flipping idea what they have. None. I don't care what the writing says.
This guy's only got 98 sales, so he probably doesn't know what he's got.
Not a clue what he has. But the comic shop guy, he's smacked in the head because he don't know what he's dealing with.
Well, he's the one I've sent the $25 offer to. So he's trying to sell them.
He has they got to be wet or damaged or something. He's sitting there telling you they're very fine.
I can see the pictures of them. They're fine.
Wow. He is not targeting. He is not even pretending like he's targeting. He's just like, I want.
Yeah, this guy is an amateur. He's only sold 36 items.
Yeah. But a comic dealer not knowing, that's just a travesty. That's not knowing your market. So maybe they don't want those in California, but he has no clue if he's willing to dump those off. Because you get $100 for those on a bad day if you went to the right people. Just go on a forum, but you get something that rare, you don't just throw it out there. You put it on a forum and say, "Hey, look."
This guy is selling for $29.
That's what I said. That's an absolute steal. Because it's putting the comparables on the stuff that makes the rounds.
Yeah, so I'm going to wait till tomorrow and see if he accepts my offer of $25. If he doesn't, I'll buy it for $29.
All right, we're going to call it a night now. Go and get me dinner. Go and cook me dinner. It's nearly cooked. It's got to heat it back up. Talk to you guys. See you Saturday, Mark.
Got to find some humanoid giants. Now, how are we taking the perspective thing? So if I've got a cover with Atom on it, and
if he's giant compared to the others in that particular picture, that's fine as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
'Cause at that point, he's a giant. I've got an Atom cover, but don't use Legends of DC Legends, whatever it is, with Atom as a giant, because I've got that one.
Okay, that one. It's the world's finest. Okay.
Right, yeah.
Cheers, guys.
Cheerio, everybody.
Cheerio.
Bye.